Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to math. Today I'm not really going to write the equation of what we're dealing with today because it's similar, or pretty much it's the same thing, should I say, that what we've been covering the last few videos, okay? If you haven't seen the last three videos, okay, it's very important that you see those before you see this one because you won't understand this one unless you know how the equation works, okay? What are the things we're looking for? So you need to see the last three videos, okay? Since we started ellipses, and then we started graphing them, then writing equations, okay? Or should I say writing equations, then graphing them, okay? Today, we're still using the same equations, okay? The only thing that changes, guys, okay, is the way it opens, okay? But before we get started on that, our objective for today is to know how to graph hyperbolas. Okay, notice that I don't have in here how to write equations because we technically already know, even though it's hyperbolas, the last one was ellipses, same principle. Okay, the only difference, again, it's the shape is gonna be and the way it opens. Okay, if you guys remember last class, if you have the equation where you have x under a, okay, for ellipsis, okay, it opens horizontally, okay? If you guys remember, for ellipsis, if you have the equation x minus h squared over a squared plus y minus k squared b squared equals 1, okay? That's the equation we've been dealing with in the last few concepts. If you have it this way, for ellipses, it opened horizontally, okay? It was a horizontal oval. Now you're actually drawing kind of parabolas, okay? The only difference is when it comes to this equation, your parabola, okay, opens left to right, okay? If it's the other equation where you have y first in here, it opens up and down, okay? That is the only difference. We are still looking for the center, okay? We are still looking for a point, our foci, okay? All right. So that's the only difference. Now they're gonna open left to right, up and down, and we also have what is known as an isotope, okay? That is pretty simple to find, okay? For that, all you need to remember is how to graph your very basic equations for slope, okay? So the way is, we're gonna find first things first, okay? We're gonna erase this, make sure it's on your notes. The way we're gonna find our equation, or we have our first equation, should I say. Our first problem is x squared over 49 minus y squared over 25 equals 1, okay? Notice that the equation is already created. Okay, all you have to do is leave it in the form for graphing, and I will say this, guys, on the previous videos, okay, we covered that when you have a variable square, all you really need in there is a 0, okay? So we have x minus 0 squared over 49 minus y minus 0 square. It can be plus or minus, it really doesn't matter for the zeros, over 25 equals 1, okay? The three things we have to find are A, B, and C, okay? If you guys remember, the equation is c squared equals a squared minus b squared. Okay? Which means that we already have a, we already have b. Remember, it's 49 and 25. So c squared equals 49 minus 25. Okay? That means that, let me make sure it's not a plus in there. It is a plus. That's what I thought. It is a plus here. So 49 plus 25, we have c squared equals 49, one more, that's 50, that's 74. Yep, 74. So in order to find c by itself, we have to do c equals radical of 74. Okay, so that is our c. Okay, remember, in order to find the vertex or the origin, okay, the origin in this case, okay, is where the isotope hits. Okay, instead of where the origin of the ellipsis is, this time is the origin of the isotope. So let's find that origin. Since this one is 0, 0, it's a very, very simple one. So our center is 0, comma 0. Okay. So if we were to graph this equation, okay, let's say we have our equation here. Our origin is at 0, 0. Okay. That's our center. That means that our line, okay, our isotope is going to be on a 45-degree angle. But always, always, it's easy, okay, if you make a little square in there, okay, that helps you guide that isotope. The way we're going to find, okay, how to do the isotope is when you're dealing with x as your leading coefficient, okay, because in this case, x is bigger than y. Okay? The equation to find the isotopes is, here we have it, which is y equals b over ax, okay? And y equals negative b over ax. Okay? If it was the opposite, if you were dealing with y first, okay, as your bigger one, it would have been a over b. Okay, it would have been y equals negative a over bx, and y equals a over bx. Okay, this is for x, this is for y as your leading coefficient. Okay, which means that we already have b and a. Okay, our b and our a is square root of 49 for b, or for a, I mean, which is 7, right? So the first one is y equals 7 over square root of 25, which is 5. And then the opposite is y equals negative 7 over 5. Okay? X and x. Doesn't this look kind of like a slope equation? The only thing you're missing is a y-intercept. The reason why you don't have a y-intercept is because you already started at 0. Okay? So all you have to do, okay, is graph this. Since we have plus 0, we already start there. Then we go up 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? We make our dot. Then we go down 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We make our dot. Okay? Keep in mind, now we're going to go 5 in every direction. Okay, the bottom. The reason why is you can also go this way and make your line, your second point there. It also works. Okay? But since I'm doing a square, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I make my square. Okay, then we connect from center. I will say this, you really don't have to make this extra square if you don't want to. Okay, I make it so so you guys can see how to make our isotope, but you really don't have to really make it if you know how to get it all straight. Okay, so there's our isotope now. Okay, notice that if I would have done my point, it would have been here, okay, and down here, and then down here, okay, for -7 and 5. All right, now, keep in mind, now that we have our isotope, okay, we can actually graph it. Again, all we really need, okay, let's use another color here, is to find a point. The way we find our point, okay, is we have -a, 0, and a, 0. Okay? Obviously, if it was y, okay, if they were opening up and down, it would have been -b and 0, b and 0. Okay? Or actually 0b, 0, -b, and 0b. But since we're opening left and right, because x is bigger, okay, -a, or in this case just a, is 7, right? So we go 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's pretend that's 7 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's say 7 is over here somewhere. So now that we have that, our graph is going to open to the sides. Okay, well, here we go. Notice that my graph opens up to the sides. I will say this, it kind of didn't work out because I didn't do too much that way. Okay, your line to your hyperbola cannot touch the isotope. Okay. All right. So now that you have that, okay, for the full side, it's c, 0, okay, which is 74, okay. If you break down 74, it should be about 8 point something. So notice that that was 7, so about 8 point something. This is your full side, and then on this side as well. Okay, so your line for this one should have been like this. As long as this line continues going, and then the same here. Okay. All right, let's do one more. Okay, this time where it's not on the origin. Okay, so you guys can get the hang of it as well. All right, guys. Just to tell you guys before we start the next one, I did catch an error on the first one when I was erasing it. Okay, we all make mistakes. Okay, if you guys remember, it was y equals -b over ax and y equals b over ax. I accidentally used not b, I used the a first, okay? So it was supposed to be y equals 5 over 7x and y equals -5 over 7x, okay? I accidentally did 7 over 5, okay? I got a little excited, but keep in mind, make sure on yours you fixed it. You put 5 over 7, but you still have the same isotope, okay? You're still gonna go up 5, 7 to the right, okay? Just a heads up. If you get confused with that, shoot me an email, okay? We can work on it together through a Zoom video. Anyways, for our second problem, this time we have an actual number in there, x minus 2 squared over 16 minus y minus 1 squared over 20, okay, equals 1. Keep in mind, guys, notice that for this one, okay, 20 is bigger than 16. So we have to rewrite it, okay? So technically it's supposed to be y minus 1 squared over 20 minus x minus 2 squared over 16, okay? Because remember, a is always your biggest number, equals 1. Again, we have to find a, b, and c. So a is square root of 20, okay? Because a squared. B equals 4, because you square root it. And then c squared equals a squared plus b squared, which c squared equals radical of 20 plus 4, okay? Which c squared equals 4 radical of 20, okay? Or we can break down the 20 even further. We can actually turn it to a decimal point, where we have radical of 20 equals 4.47, okay? So 4.47 plus 4, c squared equals 8.47. So c equals radical of 8.47. So shift radical of 8.47 equals 2.91. So we're just say 2.9. Okay. So c is 2.9. Now that we know all our basic stuff, okay, keep in mind, is it gonna open left and right, or is it gonna open up or down? Since y is bigger, okay, it's gonna open up and down, okay? You're gonna have two parabolas, one like a smiley face and one like a sad face, okay? So the way it works is, let me erase this up here. Let me write them on the corner. So A equals 4.47, B equals 4, and C equals 2.9. We can also find our center using H and K. In this case, this is K, this is H, this is K. Okay, so your vertex is at, so notice that the equations are negative. Since you already have negative in here, all you really need is the numbers. So 2, 1. Okay, we really don't need the rest of the equation since we already have all our basic stuff. All right, so let's make our graph here. Looks like it's going to be more positive than negative, so I'm going to open down a little here. Okay. So our origin is at 2, 1. Okay. So x-axis is 2. So 1, 2, and up 1. There's our origin. That's our center. 4 at isotope. Okay. Now, again, in order to find our isotope, we had to do, since this is the one where we start with y, okay? For when we start with y, we have to use y equals a over bx, and y equals negative a over bx. Which means that since y equals, okay, for the first one, we have 4.47 over b, which is 4, okay? So from the origin, okay, again, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, we're going to go 4.47, okay, up, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, okay, about here. And then we're going to go down the same amount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So about here. Okay. On our x-axis, we're gonna go 4 in every direction. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we're gonna make our little square or rectangle, should I say? Oh, I went a little too far. Now that we have our little rectangle, okay, we can actually get the corner, pass it through the center and through the corner, and then just do our little cuts in there. All right, and then we make another one from the corner to the center to the other corner, and then we make again our cuts. All right, now that we have our isotopes in there, in order to find our point, okay, if you guys remember, since we're dealing with opening up and down, today is going to be, for our point, it's going to be 0, comma, b, and 0, comma, negative b, okay? B means your up and down, okay, your y-axis. So, we have 0 and b. Since we know what b is, in this case is 4, okay? I will say this. Since your isotope moved to a center of 2, technically here we have to have a 2, okay? Since we're no longer on the origin, okay? It only works for 0 when it's on the origin. Since this one's on 2, on your x-axis, we put a 2 in there. And then b, which in this case is 4. So at 2, we go up 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we make our hyperbolas, should I say. Okay. And there we go. We are done. Okay. Again, it makes it a lot easier, guys, if you find your A, your B, your C, your center, and your isotopes. Okay. Again, for your isotopes, when you're dealing with opening up and down, is y equals A over B. Okay. If we're dealing with left to right, is y equals B over A. Okay. Just flip it. Okay. The inverse, the reciprocal. All right, guys. So make sure some of your answers. Okay. Make sure, well, first of all, make sure you write down the notes. Okay. All right. So here's your assignment. Your assignment for today is x squared over 4 minus y squared over 16 equals 1. Okay? Very simple. That's your first one. And your second one is y minus 2 squared over 16 minus x plus 2 squared over 25. Okay, equals 1. Make sure, okay, you send a picture of your notes. Make sure if you have any questions, you let me know. Okay. All right, guys, as soon as you're done watching the video, make sure you send me your answers. I'll be here waiting for your email.